You're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and this is the Morning Buzz. Yeah, Friday edition. I'm your host, Gabby Lutz, joined in studio with me, Terry Dickerson, our newscaster, and on Zoom, who do we have? My co-host, Marty Zuniga. We have our segment host, Gina Morelli, and we have our sportscaster, Emily Struble, and then Lara is producing from home today. So really, it's just me and Terry in studio today, guys. You know,
bonding experience today.
me and Terry have had a lot of bonding this morning.
You guys will hear about it later.
Yeah, you will definitely hear about it later. Not right now, but later. So we have a great show lined up for you guys today. We're going to be going real in depth, speaking about what's happening in Ukraine and Russia right now, because that is incredibly important, and that's literally all the news is right now. So we will get into that for sure. We have 2 interviews today. So stay tuned for those. There are some really good ones coming up. And for now, Terry, do you want to give us our news update?
I think I do. Like Gabby said, we'll be talking about the Ukraine invasion throughout the show, but I wanted to talk about some different international news for now. On February 21st, Colombia became the latest country in Latin America to legalize abortion until the 24th week of pregnancy. Though the decision of 9 tribunal judges disappointed pro-choice groups advocating for the complete decriminalization of abortion, this is still considered a historic feat for women's rights in Latin America. It is estimated that about 400,000 women a year would get secret abortions due to previous laws only allowing an abortion when, according to the Associated Press, quote, a woman's life was in danger, a fetus had a malformation, or a pregnancy resulted from rape, end quote. This new ruling will allow women to receive abortions until the 24th week of pregnancy without having to provide any sort of justification for their decision. In national news, Colin Kaepernick, former NFL quarterback, has announced that he will be offering a new initiative called the Autopsy Initiative through his Know Your Rights Camp organization. The initiative is offered to the family members of anyone whose death is police-related. According to Jonathan Franklin of NPR, quote, the initiative will provide free secondary autopsies conducted by board-certified pathologists, end quote. The pathologist will disclose the preliminary findings and give the final autopsy reports to the families. According to the Know Your Rights Camp organization, autopsies can be requested by any individual in close relation to a victim of a police-related death, such as a spouse, a partner, a close friend, lawyer, etc., and must be authorized by legal representation. This initiative would allow the loved ones of the victims of police-related deaths to feel reassured that the original autopsy of the victim was unbiased and errorless. In New Jersey news, it has been announced by Councilman Peter Yacobelis of Montclair, New Jersey, that the indoor mask mandate for all public places in the town will end on February 28th. The decision was announced on February 23rd at the Township Council meeting, with Councilman Yacobelis stating to Montclair Local, quote, as the spread of the Omicron variant, hospitalizations and deaths have come down dramatically over the last few weeks, I felt it was time to bring our town back in line with the most commonly practiced protocols in our region with regard to masks, end quote. It is unclear whether the Montclair School District will decide to lift its mask mandate after Governor Phil Murphy announced that schools will be able to lift their mask mandate requirements as of March 9th. Masks will still be required on federal property, public transit, and ride-sharing services such as Uber or Lyft. Businesses are also able to require their customers and employees to wear masks. And for the weather report today, today's weather is 29 degrees with a high of 43 degrees and a low of 23 degrees. There's a winter weather advisory issued for North Jersey and Southeast New York due to mixed precipitation. Expect hazardous conditions due to snow and sleet. And you don't have to tell me and Gabby that. we walked in it. So fun story today. So since me and Gabby are the only ones in the studio, we walked together. I was like, hey, we tried to drive, but my car was frozen. And we walked all the way from our dorm, which is a little bit off campus, to the studio today. Like it was really,
an adventure.
It was really a sight to see, honestly. I looked like a grandma, and Gabby was just like jumping and skating across the ice like a graceful Olympic figure skater.
I say I might be an Olympic figure skater.
Y'all, when I tell you I was like fighting for my life out there, and she was just
like a grandma, I'm telling you.
And she was just having the time of her life.
But that's fine.
Everyone else be careful and don't do a Gabby today.
Hey, I did fantastic.
10 out of 10, honestly.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for that great news update here on WMSC Upper Montclair. Emily, My love,
What's
you want to
up?
give us our sports update?
Absolutely. Let's talk about some sports.
Yes.
All right. So Major League Baseball will begin canceling regular season games if the league and the MLBPA can't come to terms on a new collective bargaining agreement by Monday. Opening day is scheduled for March 31st. The New Jersey Devils ran away with the game last night, beating the Penguins 6-1. The same cannot be said for the Islanders as they lose in a shootout to the Sharks. The New York Islanders did have a big game for Zdeno Chara, though. He broke the record for the most games played by an NHL defenseman last night after he skated in his 1,652nd career game. The Nets lost to the Celtics last night, 129-106, and will look to bounce back tomorrow after this tough loss at 8:30 against the Bucks. The Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers is yet to announce his plans for retirement next season. He has one season left with his contract at Green Bay, and there have been multiple trade rumors floating around. He's indicated that he will share his plans for 2022 by March 8th. That's all I got for sports.
Thank you so much, Emily.
Sports.
So good, so great, and so grand. We're going to move on to something not so great and so grand, which is Ukraine right now. So we're going to start off with a nice little story, which is not nice. Ukrainian capital Kyiv, I hope I'm saying that right. Kyiv, targeted with missile fire, official says. A day after Vladimir Putin ordered military action in the breakaway regions of Ukraine, Russian forces have reached the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. Head of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine, Anton Gerashchenko. I'm so sorry about the name pronunciations today, guys. I'm not very good at pronouncing names.
You're trying your best.
Yes.
You're doing amazing.
We know. This is a struggle every week. Told reporters, quote, strikes on Kyiv with cruise or ballistic missiles continued, end quote. As of earlier this morning, 3 more explosions could be heard in Kyiv, along with the explosions on Friday local time. As reporters indicated, Russian troops were closing in on the city. Many Ukrainians had rushed to leave the capital Thursday. According to President Volodymyr Zelensky, at least 137 Ukrainian troops were killed in the first day of fighting. This is absolutely terrifying.
It is terrifying.
Yeah.
And all because somebody is power hungry.
Exactly. Before we even get into it, like thoughts and prayers to Ukraine, even though we're all away across the other side of the world.
Yes, of course.
Our hearts sit with the families and everybody who's suffering.
Yeah. Lottie, you had something to say?
I remember I was in my media management class yesterday, and I was like at 9 a.m. And I just remember while my professor's talking about the lesson, I just see on the TV, you know, in the news lab room where all the TVs are at.
Yes.
I remember looking at the TV, and it's just you just see families hiding in they said it was the subway. They said that they went from that subway, the underground subway went from being an underground subway to a bomb shelter. And I'm like, that is very terrifying. That has to be so sad. You see mothers and their children, like, you know, you don't even see their dads there because they most likely they were help defending their families from this tragedy. And I just think that's terrifying.
It's absolutely horrifying. I mean, I wouldn't wish this upon any country, really. Because, I mean, realistically, I had even read somewhere, I was reading a post and it said, and somebody commented, because, you know, everybody was talking about it on social media, and they're still talking about it on social media. And somebody commented and they're like, I'm from Russia and I have friends from Ukraine, multiple friends from Ukraine. They're like, we don't want this. They were like, we don't want this. I don't want my friends to have to go through this. I don't want to have to go through this.
Yeah, the people don't want it. It's just a power trip, like you said, because somebody is power hungry and Russia doesn't have the best economy or anything like that. They're not that strong right now. And Vladimir Putin thought the best thing to do was take over the lives of others. And that's what's really it makes anyone angry, because how can someone have so much power over the lives of others and have it just be so disposable like that?
Exactly.
And going off of what Madi said earlier, it was just announced either early yesterday or today that now it's the president of Ukraine has ordered that all men 18 to 60 can no longer leave the country because they have to stay in case it gets to that point where people need to fight for Ukraine, where people are still fighting for Ukraine, but they need more people. And just seeing that and seeing videos of fathers sending off their wives and their daughters and their other children like on buses to get out of the area. It's heartbreaking. Like,
yeah, I couldn't even imagine
like
what they're
it
going
should
through.
never have to be this way. Like, it just I can never wrap my mind around things that happen this way. I can't.
No, exactly. So basically, as we were like talking about this story and reporting on this first story for this morning, you know, it's crazy how it's only been a day, and I mean already 137 Ukrainian troops were already killed in the first day of fighting. This is one, not a great sign at all for Ukraine, because in that case, who knows what's going to come in the next 2 days, let alone
I
one
have
day.
such a pit in my stomach, like, thinking about this, just for the sake of other people.
Exactly. Because like luckily we're here and we live in the US, and we have a strong military and one of the strongest in the world, and but not every country does, obviously, as we do this. And I feel awful for the civilians who have to live their lives and fear that they might not live to tomorrow because they might get bombed or something like that. And I think that's terrifying. And so let's just get into a little bit more of what has happened in this past like 24 hours, basically. So basically Russia has taken control of Chernobyl nuclear plant, says Ukrainian officials. So Chernobyl is a nuclear power plant that has had like a dangerous problem in the past. It is considered like, and it was one of the most dangerous power plant stories ever. So that's not very, this is kind of scary because that's not good that they have control of something that has had problems before. So advisor to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Mihailo Podolyak, said the country has lost control of the Chernobyl nuclear power. And according to reports, Ukrainian forces fought to defend it from Russian troops. Podolyak, wow, there's so many names that are really hard to pronounce, was quoted by the Associated Press saying, quote, senseless attack of the Russians. It is impossible to say that the Chernobyl nuclear power plant is safe, end quote. So the International Atomic Energy Agency has said that it has been informed by Ukraine that unidentified armed forces have taken control of all plant facilities. No casualties or destruction have been reported at the site, but due to its history, there is room for fear. And I mean, there's room for fear in all of this, but especially with that. The agency is following the Ukraine situation with grave concern and is calling for maximum restraint. So Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi said on Thursday, IAEA wants to avoid actions that could put Ukraine's nuclear facilities at risk. The IAEA said it was told that Ukraine's operational nuclear power plants are operating securely and safely. And our White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, told reporters Thursday that the White House is outraged by what she said are credible reports that Russian troops are holding staff at the site hostage. That just makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Holding staff at the site. What has that staff done?
Nothing.
Their job.
And update on that situation. The radiation levels have started to get out of control in that area now that they have got like been invaded. I just saw the article just now. Like, now they're saying that it's exceeding control levels just because of all the activity that's happening there, which is horrifying because it's radiation. Obviously, this is Chernobyl's not a site to just like be
to just mess around with,
exactly. And oh my goodness, it just feels like this has just been taken with a very much a lack of care and thought in terms of like safe. Obviously, the whole thing's like a lack of thought and safety.
Exactly.
But this makes the situation so much worse.
Yeah,
honestly.
and at this point, like this nuclear power plant, I mean, obviously they want control of it, but this should have nothing to do with the war, because this could be dangerous for the Russians, for the Ukrainians. It doesn't matter who you are,
or anyone.
If something goes wrong, boom chakalaka. Like, for lack of better words, that's not going to be good, and they're going to wish that they weren't there.
Yeah, it's just like, how do you think it's a good idea to go? It's already unsafe to just walk around Chernobyl as it is because of the radiation levels, and you could get cancer from it.
Yeah, exactly.
And now they're starting to get out of control, and people are occupying that area.
You know, Russia is going to regret what they're doing at some point, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's 2 years from now, who knows? But I have a feeling that, especially with Chernobyl, it might not be very good anytime soon.
Absolutely.
Another update about this is also sources familiar with intel says U.S. is concerned Kiev could fall to Russia within days. So it shouldn't be too long, unfortunately, before this happens.
I don't even know what to think of this, honestly, because this whole thing is that Vladimir doesn't want anyone to get involved, right? He's like, if NATO gets involved, which is like pretty much Europe and the US, like he's nuking somebody.
But you know what's funny is we've warned him. Biden warned him and said, if you do this, there will be problems.
There will be problems.
And he was warned weeks ago. I remember talking about it on air. And now
he doesn't care.
And he doesn't care.
Because the threat is, if you interfere, someone's getting nuked. Nuclear warfare will happen. And that's the scary part, because that's going to start a whole different ball game.
Don't you mean World War III?
Sounds a little bit like it.
Sounds a little bit scary to me. So
it's just scary, because this could get blown up so much. That's a really poor choice of words, but it could really get really bad. But I don't know. It's really frustrating, just because it doesn't have to be this way. It really doesn't.
I agree. Gina, would you like to do your second part here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair?
Yes, I would love to. So the next story is a little bit lighter. It's going to be a little more fun. But have you been pronouncing your favorite celebrity's name wrong? You could be. Ooh. Well, the first one is Lindsay Lohan, which I thought it was Lindsay Lohan. Apparently, it's Lindsay Lohan with the N, so low N.
You're lying.
So no, I'm serious. She introduced herself on TikTok, apparently. So she just posted she just got one on TikTok in February 2022. And she set up a firestorm by merely pronouncing her name with the emphasis on a long O and not the H. So
wow.
The whole time I've been saying Lindsay Lohan, but right now she's setting it straight with Lindsay Lohan.
Wow. You're telling me all my life, all my 20, almost 21 years of living, I've been saying Lohan, that poor woman.
I went through the early 2000s and still got it wrong.
Exactly.
Everyone says Lindsay Lohan. Like, I don't understand why, like, now she's correcting people and saying Lindsay Lohan. Like, that was her video, and I was just like, what? Is she saying her own name wrong?
How did she
said her own name wrong.
How did she go all this time and everybody's been pronouncing it wrong, and she's never made a point to be like, by the way, guys, it's Lohan.
You know, to be fair, Pitbull got it right in that one song, Give Me Everything, with him, Neo, and Naya. In that song, he actually does say Lindsay Lohan.
Does he? I thought it was just his accent.
I guess people in the industry knew and no one else did.
Nobody else knew. And we all just kept saying Lohan. I'm sorry, Lindsay.
It's probably because Lohan's like stuck.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to continue to call her Lohan.
Yeah, Lohan.
I'm sorry. Sure. I'm sorry, Lindsay. Miss Ma'am, if you're listening. What's next, Gina? Just keep ruining my life.
We have Kesha, which is, most people pronounce it Kesha, but sometimes people will say, like, in a TikTok video, she's like, most people say it's not Keisha, not ketchup, it's Kesha, which is kind of straightforward. I don't know anyone that calls her Keisha.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that one's just like, okay, it's Kesha. This one, apparently it's Alicia Silverstone. So some people say like Alicia Keys. I would say Alicia Silverstone. It's Alicia. So the clues are noted on TikTok. Everyone's going on TikTok to say the right pronounce of their names, apparently. but that's the way you say her first name. So it's Alicia Silverstone. And then this one, actually, the last one that we have I was pretty shocked. So it's Chrissy, I thought it was Chrissy Teigen, but apparently after years of being in the spotlight, the model surprised fans when she took to social media to reveal that her name was not what people thought. She said, in quotes, "I'm tired of living this. It's Teigen." In September of 2018, she's correcting those who have pronounced it Teigen all these years. So it's Chrissy Teigen.
You know what's awful about that? Is that she said that in 2018, and yet I still, to this day, think it's Teigen.
It sounds better. I don't know if it's just
It does sound better.
like I don't know if it's just the bias of us being like used to saying it that way, but it just has a little ring to it.
It
you know what I mean?
does. I feel like Chrissy Teigen
Yeah,
doesn't sound as good as Chrissy
Chrissy
Teigen.
You know what's another
Yeah.
name that's like kind of like this? Like Rihanna. Because she says Rihanna. Like how
Yeah.
if she like introduces herself, she's like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah.
Rihanna." But I'm like, "No,
You're Rihanna.
you're Rihanna."
Also, like Ariana
You're
Grande,
Rihanna.
Well, how does she do it?
her last name is Grand, not Grande.
Oh, that's just unfortunate.
I saw
'cause
that, yeah.
Yeah, and she's just kind of stuck with Grande, I guess, but it's Grand. She's
I'm
like
gonna
said
butt in.
Grand.
I'm gonna butt in.
I am such
That's how
a
they
huge
pronounce
fan
it.
of Ariana Grande, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying Grande.
Yeah.
I'm,
David shook.
I am
Lara.
shook. I'm a huge fan of hers, and I've been saying Grande.
Oh!
You know,
Lara,
as a
you wanted to
person
cut
who
in?
always corrects people about my name, I'm like, okay, I gotta go the extra step to say these names right, because I hate it when people get my first name wrong. It's just it disturbs me to my core. So so I feel like
Yeah.
I have to be on their side and get these names right from now on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's how you say her actual last name?
Who? Ariana?
Yeah, what like how do you say
Yeah, it's
it?
Ariana Grande. Just
Grand?
Grand. No, like
Oh,
you
it's
know, like the word
Grand?
brand. Yes.
LOL.
I don't understand what the
LOL.
E is there for, but okay.
You see, it took me a little while to get there, but I got there.
And you know
So-
what? And I understand the Maddie, I understand how you're like, oh, well, everybody pronounces my name wrong, so I'm gonna make that step. The reason I'm not making that step is because these performers and these people are so used to how their name is said that they probably start saying it like that themselves.
Yeah, they just build their image around it
Yeah.
at that point
Yeah.
because everyone's talking about them.
Exactly.
gonna
So they're like, okay.
Butt in
They should-
again.
I feel
There's
like
so
they
many-
should have corrected them ever since then,
Yeah.
since the beginning.
Correct me from the
Yeah.
beginning or don't correct me at
first
all.
time.
Yeah.
That's me. I
Why
always do
wait
that.
this
Yeah.
this whole time, not correcting people, and then all of a sudden now you want to correct people?
Exactly. Like, how dare you?
Seems kind of sus right now.
It's a little suspicious.
It really is.
Lara,
Yeah.
you had
Like,
to butt
I
in
get
again?
it. There's so many different ways to pronounce my name, but I've just adapted to all and any, except for Laura. Please do not call me Laura.
No, it's
That
it's
is-
Lara.
Thank you. That is all I have.
Lara.
There's so
I think
many
I'm the only
ways-
one at the studio who says it correctly.
There's so many ways to say it. It's just okay. That's fine.
Yeah, I say like Lara
People-
Croft, like the character.
That's
the video game
honestly
character.
fine. I've adapted to that. I've adapted to that pronunciation in high school because I'm tired of just I'm
Correcting
tired
people.
of keeping on saying it.
Well,
Makes sense.
people always say my name is Jenna, and I'm always like, it's Gina, because it's definitely like really
There's two
spelled.
E's
It's never,
there.
Like,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
really, like,
so it's-
spelled out.
It's
for you.
fully spelled Gina.
yeah.
And if it said Jenna, there'd be
Thank
two
you.
N's, right?
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's
Thank
just
you,
people not
guys.
paying attention, Gina.
Is it Gina with a J or with a G?
with a J?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's even more so Gina. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Yeah, it's Jeena.
it's spelled out
Yeah.
phonetically.
Watch, if it was
Yeah.
a G, they'd be calling her Gina, and that was
Hey, Gina.
people would do that.
Oh my.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
How is everyone doing? All right. So I'm guessing we're doing. Am I in the wrong, right? Oh my God. All right. So I guess do I just read now?
Yeah, you're gonna read. So, am I in the wrong? For those who don't know, is when we deep dive into the world of Reddit. And this is not our own post. This is somebody else's post. These are not our words. This is somebody's words from their own post. So this is in the words of the original poster from Reddit.
All right. So we'll get started. All right. So the first one is Am I in the wrong for giving away my ex-husband's dog? So, says married for 2 years, have been together for 3. We have an almost 1-year-old son together. We bought the dog together, but it was entirely my ex's responsibility, if that makes sense. He does all the work. We jointly paid for her. 4 months ago, my ex disappeared for 45 days without any warning. He travels for work. He's a journalist. So it's not uncommon to see him leave for a week or so here or there, but never for this long and never without notice. He was unreachable the entire time. He returned home as if little had happened. He, without notifying me, left the country and flew to Italy for work. He claims his cell phone was stolen en route to the airport. He worked for 3 days and decided to just stay there and bicycle across the entirety of Italy. He took a vacation, basically. I thought he was a missing person, or worse, dead. We've separated and will be getting divorced. He's not welcome back home. While he was gone on week 2, I gave his dog away to a stranger. I did all the background checks and all that, but it did go to a stranger. I don't like dogs. I don't have time to care for any pets, and it wasn't my responsibility. So I gave her away to people who could better take care of her. My ex is livid, but I don't care. Was I in the wrong?
There's so much to this.
Are you kidding? Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much to this. Okay, so don't get me wrong. The ex should not have been on that however many long vacation and just disappeared and whatever, because it is his dog.
Right.
And I think that's awful. But the fact that I'm assuming this is a woman, that this is just me assuming, guys, I don't know. That she or they or whatever was like, oh, I'm just gonna get rid of the dog. How dare you? Okay, because that dog is now like moving it from home to home is not good for them.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
It's like a child.
Yeah, you wouldn't get rid of your baby just because your husband left you, would you?
Oh my God.
Would
I
you?
mean,
I think some people would.
I'm kind of on the
I don't
side
think
of
we
the
can-
person that got rid of the dog, low key.
Emily.
Emily, how dare
Okay,
you?
okay.
Yeah,
He
explain,
straight
explain.
up said that it was the responsibility of the significant other.
Right.
Yeah, but didn't they pay for it
It would
together?
work. What if they physically didn't have the time to take care of a dog? A dog is like a high maintenance pet. You got to walk it like 3 or 4 times a day. You don't know their living situation. It might have just been the better option to not for say get rid of it, but give it a better home because they couldn't take care of it properly.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
I agree. I kind of agree with Emily a
Plus,
little
like,
bit.
I
I
don't
can
know.
see, I
Plus
can
they
see
have-
both sides to it. Like, I feel like if he was on vacation, he should have told her that he was going on vacation. So in her sense, I'm like, yeah, like she doesn't want to take care of the dog. She can't take care of the dog, so she has to give it away. But then it is also his dog, so he should have a say. But if he's not there for 45 days and he's going on vacation, like she has no other option in a sense. So I don't know. It's
Yeah, I
tricky.
mean, on top of that, they have a 1-year-old son together. So having a 1-year-old son
Wow.
and a dog on top of that, just being alone at home, that's a lot.
Okay.
You got to pay for a babysitter and a dog sitter. Come on.
I can understand that, but when you make the joint decision to get a pet, you don't just like he took care of it, but you
I feel like
agreed.
it's inconsiderate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just inconsiderate because you agreed. If you weren't both on the same page about the dog, you shouldn't have gotten the dog
Right.
That's very true. That's very true.
in the first place.
And I feel like I don't know, doing something like that is something that obviously he wasn't there for, but should be a conversation to be had. I feel like she should have been a little bit more concerned about her husband going MIA for 45 days instead of whether
instead of
she
getting
can
rid of the dog.
Yeah, like when can I get rid of this dog? Like I really need to get rid of it now. I feel like we should maybe let's find your husband maybe.
Let's find your husband.
What's going on with
Search
that?
for him.
I also feel like 45 days with no contact is very weird.
Yeah.
Like I feel like find a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Find a phone. Phone a friend. Because
The husband cared about the dog though. He would have called and been like, "Hey, how's Rufus?" Like, come on.
That's
okay,
true.
you make a good point.
That's Fido.
I don't know. I just feel bad for the dog. I get that they gave the dog to somebody else who was like going to actually take care of it. I just always fear for what that dog's life is going to be after that.
Right.
You know,
That's true.
Mhm.
That's very fair.
I don't know.
Hopefully it went to the right hands that could actually take care of the
Yeah.
dog, because it seemed like she was just not having it, and maybe like
Maybe it
you all
was
were
for the
saying,
better.
maybe it was for the better. I just wish the communication aspect would have been a little bit better in this situation. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, this is definitely something you just don't give rid of somebody's dog, especially when you both
Yeah.
like
I just feel
paid for
bad
it.
for the doggo. Like, I wonder if he misses them.
Oh.
You know, that's why
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you're in the wrong. Because I'm like, that doggo. That's
Plus,
my
how
doggo
old was the
misses
dog?
that.
Gabby's
Yeah.
very partial to pets.
How
As
old
you
was
can
the
see.
dog?
I
Was it a
love pets,
puppy?
to be honest.
It makes me it reminds me of my little pet, so my little
Aw.
doggy
Your
out
little,
there.
your little
Cute
doggy
dog.
do.
Yeah, my
Aww.
little
Oh,
corgi.
we're getting emotional in the studio today.
Oh no. Okay, so
So I mean, Reddit's vote. I mean, there's no really answers
The
to be
jury's still
announced.
oh yeah, Reddit was like, we don't know either.
We don't know.
We don't know.
So
It
what
is
are
tricky.
we technically voting in this room?
This sounds-
After Emily's point, I kind of want to agree with her, because like
Yeah.
if he truly cared for the dog, he would have called, or at least found a way to communicate if he truly cared for the dog.
You make a good point.
That's fair.
He didn't even check on his kid either. Like what?
I know,
I know.
right?
That
Poor
is
kid.
also very true. I
Think
feel
of
like we're
that.
not talking
We're
about the
just so-
child
we're just so
enough.
Is she
attached to
gonna
the
get rid
dog,
of
we
the?
forgot
Is
about
she
the
gonna get rid of the
kids.
kid? Is she gonna get rid of the kid
Oh my
too?
God.
Is that what's happening?
Timmy, you're next.
The toss
It's very
up.
high
The
maintenance
toss
as
up.
well.
Not Timmy.
I don't know if you asked me, I would have kept the dog.
No. Oh
I
my
feel like we have
gosh.
mixed votes in this
I feel like
studio.
I'm
Yeah.
mixed feelings because after what Emily said, like I get it, but also I'm an empath for animals, so I just feel the animals' pain.
Right, right.